right, folks, this is not a ride-sharing video. Repeat, this is not a ride-sharing video. Understand that a lot of MAGA Trump-related content can be censored or banned for a couple of days. So we try to get it for you folks who are watching the repeats on YouTube. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy, Tim, the handsome liberal. Today we're going to talk about what might be construed as a rather controversial topic. Perhaps some may view the material as challenging. Nevertheless, there should be a host of you that have an opinion on the subject, and that is what we're here for today, controversial or not. We're asking, what is, or better yet, what was the goal of MAGA on January 6th? What exactly were they trying to accomplish? Now, we're asking this from a host of issues because most folks who support Trump, most folks who identify as MAGA would tell you right off the bat, it was certainly not an insurrection. They were not trying to overthrow the government. They certainly did not want to take the life of the Vice President Mike Pence. And just out of curiosity, because I was just in a debate with someone who suggested what happened to Air Force veteran Ashley Babbitt was an injustice. I have to ask that question in regards to Ashley Babbitt as well, the late Ashley Babbitt. What was she attempting to accomplish there that day? Now, if you've seen any of the videos or the story of Ashley Babbitt, you're probably aware that she was looking down a barrel of a pistol being held by an African-American Capitol policeman, telling her to stand down, and she was climbing through a window, continued to proceed forward, and he fired a shot, taking the life of Ashley Babbitt. Now, whether you feel that that was justified or you feel that that was a gross injustice, we have to ask the question, what was Ashley Babbitt attempting to accomplish at that moment before she was struck down and killed? So the whole purpose of the show we're asking today is, what was the goal of MAGA on January 6th? What exactly were they attempting to accomplish? As always, the program is and shall forever remain MAGA friendly. Indeed, we do not block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary, so understand when you come in the box or if you have an opinion in the comment section, no one is going to censor or limit you in any way simply because you and I may have a disagreement. I am a strong proponent of the First Amendment. So, we're looking in the comments. So, stand your ground only comes into play when it suits those who use the talking point. JJ24, perhaps, but that's what we're asking. So what was her goal? What was the goal? What was MAGA attempting to accomplish on January 6th? I'm asking this not only because people believe that Ashley Babbitt was wrongfully, for the most part, executed by police, but also because folks suggest that on that day, it was not an insurrection. It was not an attempt to overthrow the government. The vice president's life was not in danger. So what was the goal? What were they trying to accomplish? That's what we're asking, because I don't quite get it. I'm going to plead ignorance to the folks. I want to hear it from you folks, particularly my beloved MAGA. Do you see something perhaps yours truly, or maybe the liberals in general, are just simply missing? Educate us all. Looking in the comments, Ashley ignored the warning and paid the price. But was the price justified? Yes, it is clear by the video that Ashley Babbitt did not listen to authorities and she continued to proceed forward, leading to her own loss of life. But was her life taken in a manner that was justified? Not according to the police. We know how they have already ruled in favor of the officer. But what about you folks watching? Do you believe that what happened to her that day was a gross miscarriage of justice? Or do you believe it was indeed a justifiable shoot? Trump and Republicans want to strip the Constitution and government to put himself in as a dictator, says Vibes. Wow. So you think that Trump is pursuing a dictatorship role? Wow. Going straight to the box. Question we're asking. What was the goal on January 6th of MAGA? What were they attempting to accomplish? Let's rephrase it. Let's assume, for my beloved MAGA that may be tuning in, let's assume on January 6th it was a complete success. Everything that MAGA was attempting to accomplish went their way. What would that look like? That's what we want to know. Elaborate on what would it look like had MAGA been completely victorious on January 6th. Going straight to the box. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. So I'm asking a question, MAGA Slayer. What was, in your humble opinion, what was the goal of MAGA on that day?
To overturn the election.
But they're saying it was not an insurrection or an attempt to overthrow the government.
Yeah, so they lie daily. What's surprising?
So you believe they were indeed trying to commit an act of insurrection?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, they're supposed to be the party of law and order. I mean, countless people have been found guilty now.
So if you believe they were trying to commit an act of insurrection, why has no one been charged with that?
They have. Elmer Stewart Rhodes, he got 18 years. Enrique Tarrio just got 22 fucking years. That's right. And even I think 85%, he's going to do 18 years of that.
Yeah, you're talking about the leader of the Proud Boys and the leader of the Oath Keepers getting football numbers.
Exactly.
Yeah. But were they officially charged with committing an act of insurrection?
Seditious conspiracy. It's the same thing, just different words.
Yeah. So did they plan this all by themselves? I mean, are they literally the head? There's nothing higher. Like for folks who are accusing Trump, does this exonerate him if it was planned by these guys?
Well, we know Roger Stone was rubbing shoulders with them, and Roger Stone was rubbing shoulders with Trump and Giuliani, and I mean, that's why there's a conspiracy, charges up in Georgia and in fucking D.C. Conspiracy.
But you're bringing up rubbing shoulders. Are we suggesting that guilt by association is at play?
Didn't Grandma say birds of a feather?
Yeah, I mean, that is true. But if that's the case, you're going to take down Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton for hanging around Epstein?
Well, if we're going to do that, I mean, I think someone else hung around Epstein a bit more. But
yeah.
The fact is,
I mean, I'm just saying, if you're going to convict folks based on association,
there's evidence, though. I mean, there's evidence, and they probably don't have enough evidence on Roger Stone because he's not the dumbest Batman criminal. But the rest of them, they're screwed, dude. They're screwed. They're already starting to turn on Trump. Some of those electoral documents people, I think it's 3 already, that are saying they were just doing their job. They're trying to get it moved to federal court. We were just doing our job. We were just doing what the president told us to do. So,
yeah, but okay, who in particular has officially turned on Trump, or are we speculating that that's what it's looking like?
No. The some of the people that were charged, 3 of them so far, that were charged with forged documents, the electoral documents. They're trying to get their charges moved to federal court and state that they should not be charged because they were federal employees doing what the president told them to do.
Okay. I don't know if I've quite heard it like that. Unfortunately, for whatever reason there is, this time it's probably someone on the right, but they took out my last caller. I don't know why. And I do appreciate you folks on YouTube watching the simulcast, but the last caller got banned. I don't see what he said, but listen, I stated at the beginning, at the onset of this topic, it would be controversial. I understand a hell of a lot of folks have passionate viewpoints on both sides of the aisle. So we're going to push right through it. I expect that to happen because a lot of folks do believe, whether it's Ashley Babbitt or even the leader of the Oath Keepers and Proud Boys, that they're facing a wrongful prosecution, or in Ashley Babbitt's case, a wrongful execution. But I want to ask you folks, because I'm willing to concede ignorance. I want to know from the folks, what was the actual goal of MAGA on January 6th? I'm asking this because MAGA made it clear they was not trying to overthrow the government. They stated clearly it was not an insurrection. Nobody had firearms, according to Trump supporters. Nobody was armed. How the hell could you perform an insurrection if nobody has firearms? So they're suggesting that it wasn't an insurrection. The vice president's life was not in danger at all. So what was the goal? What were they trying to accomplish? That's what I want to hear from you folks. And last but not least, would Ashley Babbitt, the Air Force veteran, losing her life, was that a justifiable loss of life? And also, I'd love to find out, what was her goal? When she attempted to go through that window, ignoring the commands of that law enforcement official, what was she trying to accomplish? Had he stood down and not fired upon her, what was she about to do? That's what we're trying to find out. Looking in the comments, they had firearms and caches. And I've heard both sides of this. The suggestion is that the protesters on January 6th were indeed heavily armed. That's what someone is saying. Yeah, you know how women are. Martin, that's a hell of a comment to make. It's funny. But in regards to Ashley Babbitt not following the instructions of law enforcement, well, you know how women are. Wow, that's crazy. Let me keep it moving, though. That's kind of funny. Evil Tickers, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. I'm just curious. Goal of MAGA on January. Good afternoon.
Well, what I think the goal is for them to hold up the count, to give Pence time to count the fake electors that they sent there, and to use that as a reason to instill martial law and give Trump back to presidency. So it was an insurrection, and it was an attempt to overthrow our democracy and instill Trump as a leader.
So you do believe they were trying to steal the election, basically?
Well, that's what all the evidence shows.
Yeah. Why do you think there's so many people, particularly those that support Trump, that do not see the evidence showing that?
Well, I think that I know I hear the cult thing a lot, and they're in a cult, I believe, because they won't believe anything bad about him. They won't believe anything bad about themselves. They need to adopt a dissonance-reducing causal narrative. That's the only way they can still stay part of that group.
Wait, say that again. That was a mouthful. Repeat that.
In order for this is how they think. They think that being a Trump supporter is a good thing. They may not state that, but I think it's a feeling they have. I think it's pretty obvious. Okay. And when they see these people that of the group that they belong to doing something bad, they suffer from cognitive dissonance. It's a bad feeling that they have because it contradicts their belief. So they see this happening, they're trying to overthrow the government, and in order for them to keep believing in that, they need to adopt a dissonance-reducing causal narrative. So they're going to think of something like, well, it wasn't the MAGA people, it was Antifa, or it was the FBI, or they're going to make it easy for themselves to blame somebody else so they can keep their identity and keep themselves thinking that they're a good part of this group.
Okay, so I certainly am going to admit I don't have a psychology degree, and that's pretty complicated. But I have to ask, listening to what you just stated, what's the difference between your eloquent presentation and a cult? What's the difference between how you just described that and an actual cult?
That's pretty close to a cult.
Where did this come from? What did Trump do, being a well-known celebrity, a very successful businessman, despite folks bringing up the bankruptcies, but he was a successful businessman. How do you go from that to having, in your opinion, a cult-like following of millions of people.
He strikes a chord with them. And that's what a good cult leader does. And he knows he's a cult leader, so he takes advantage of them. He takes advantage of these beliefs. He knows what red meat he...
Okay. We're going to obviously have a difficult program today. Once again, another guest was taken off the program. Clearly, there is some strong support for President Trump. This is MAGA. When folks suggest that the woke, the liberal, the left elitists are constantly banning and censoring folks, this isn't coming from the left. These guests are speaking ill of the president and the former president, and being removed. So make no mistake about it, what the last guest and the previous guest stated contained nothing that would have triggered a TikTok censor at all. There is someone on the right, folks on the right, that are not fans of what we're discussing today, and they're exercising all sorts of censorship attributes. So that's where it's coming from. I want to make it clear. This is not coming from the libs. This is not coming from cancel culture. Someone on the right, as my last caller was stating, who has a very strong level of love for the former president to the point where they don't like to hear anything negative about him. That's where this is coming from. That's where this is coming from. It's not coming from the TikTok censors or algorithms or any of that. This is someone actively making an effort to prevent anything that is counter to what Trump is suggesting in regards to January 6th from being spoken. I want to point that out. Looking in the comments, hey, by the way, Brownsbacker, you're 100% correct. Brownsbacker is MAGA. He's a friend to the program, and he is correct. We don't have moderators. So there is no moderator doing this. Program doesn't have one. We've been doing this for over a year. We don't have moderators. I am that much of a proponent of free speech. I love the First Amendment. Comes before the Second. I love the First Amendment. So there is no moderators preventing people from speaking. This is what you refer to as haters that are trying to prevent people from speaking. And obviously, it is haters that are favorable to what MAGA did on January 6th and don't want to hear anything counter to that. Russell Gray, when cult followers adopt the entity as part of the identity of themselves, they take any factual criticism, speak as offensive. Wow. Cult followers adapt the entity as part of their own identity. Therefore, they don't want to hear anything because they view criticism of Trump as a personal insult to themselves. How do you guys take that? Do you see any of that? Is that possible? Is it that bad? Anyhow, let me go back to the box real quick to once again summarize what we're discussing. What was the goal of MAGA on January 6th? Let's assume that on January 6th, things were, Golden Lion. Thank you for the hat and mustache. While pleading ignorance, I'm going to ask, because I'm admitting I'm ignorant on this, let's assume January 6th was a resounding success for MAGA that day. Everything they wanted happened and came true. Whatever reason they were there, whatever Ashley Babbitt was trying to accomplish, let's assume all of it was a success. What would that have looked like? What were they attempting to accomplish? That is the topic of the show. Looking in the comment section, do you not think there were any leftists at January 6th? Were there liberals in the crowd? Perhaps. I saw somebody asked, was Antifa there? Perhaps. But the problem is that virtually no one that was there that day, particularly in the Capitol building, that has been tried in courts of law, various courts of law, none of them are blaming Antifa. In fact, a hell of a lot of Republican senators and Congress people that were there that day, none of them are blaming Antifa. There's just a sheer lack of people that were present on the ground there that day that are blaming Antifa. And I would also ask this question. Whether you think Black Lives Matter or Antifa or Ray Epps were there that day, how could such a small entity of people get MAGA, who has a totally opposing viewpoint, to just do all of this stuff? I mean, I'm going to assume nobody would suggest that more than 10% of the crowd was Antifa. Obviously, you're not going to suggest that 40% of the participants were Black Lives Matter. Ray Epps is one guy. How could this whole crowd be taken over and literally aimed to do all of that? I'm trying my best. I will not call this group sheep. But if any of this is the case, how does that not fall under the category of being a sheep? Ray Epps is one guy. If he can make that whole crowd go against abiding by the law and do all of this stuff, how would he not be a sheep herder? Somebody explain that to me. Going back to the box, because I am lost. I'm willing to admit I have no clue how this is working. Peter, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. What was the goal on January 6th? Good afternoon, Peter. Good to have you on. So, what do you think they were trying to accomplish there that day? Right. Okay. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on. When you suggest that the crowd was calm and everybody was cheering just fine, what about the call to take the life of the vice president? That was happening in that crowd. Do you chalk that up as being calm? No, no, no. They had a. Did they not have a gallows with them there that day? Hold on, hang on a second. Hold on. Peter, could you do me a favor? Hold on, hang on. Nobody can hear you but me. Could you put yourself on mute and then unmute yourself? Apparently, the guests are saying they cannot hear you.
Now they can hear me?
Can you folks hear
Hello?
him now? Let me know.
Yeah?
They're saying they can't hear you. Okay, they can hear you now. All right, continue.
Okay. All right. So what I'm trying to say, because I watched the whole thing live, I from the beginning till the end, and I was a little bit shocked when I saw people breaking things at one point. But at the beginning, there was no charge, there was no nothing. This was happening in one corner of the Capitol. The rest of the front of the Capitol, everyone was there enjoying their day. They were not violent. They weren't pushing, nothing. It was only one section of the Capitol on the far right, I think it was. And that's where you had, when people mention Epps, because that's where he was, and he's rallying that corner. Let's get in. Let's go break that. And then
But he
I
is
saw that
one
live on
man.
TV. I wasn't watching Fox, by the way. I wasn't. I was
That's
watching.
fine. I'm not.
I was
Listen,
watching
Peter. I'm not.
normal.
Peter.
I was
I'm
watching
not
normal TV,
dispelling.
not Fox.
I'm not dispelling anything you're saying. I'm just simply asking you, how could one man convince
No, but
this crowd to do this?
it wasn't only Epps, by the way. Epps had they had the like the sound of Epps rallying. There was people close to him that had whatever they were recording, but there were a good bunch of people that were like telling people, "Let's go this way, let's go this way, this way." And these people did not look like the normal crowd of MAGA. I mean,
What did they look like?
They didn't. They looked like they were dressed up for the occasion, if you know what I mean, to blend in as MAGA. Okay, because MAGA, they're not violent people. They don't riot. That was the first time we ever seen any riot by MAGAs anywhere in the States. If you look, there hasn't been any damage to property, burning houses, none of that. When you talk about,
okay, so in regards to MAGA not being violent, there's video of police officers being bear sprayed. Was that not
yes.
MAGA?
No, but this is the that side of the Capitol where all the violence was happening. This was, yes, it was. Listen, I'm not a Trump fan myself. I'm just telling you how it looked to me. Okay, I think it's too much.
Were the people who using the bear spray, were they MAGA?
Yeah, but bear spray. Listen, you have kids, right?
Yeah,
I have kids. And I tell them,
if
they're in a situation, the bear spray is there for a reason. You don't need the gun, but the bear spray will give you time to get away from a danger, right? So,
wait. You're bear spraying a cop in uniform. You're saying that's not a violent act?
Wait a second. Those security people there on that side, okay, were charging the people with the gate. I don't know if you remember seeing that. They were coming at them with the gate. So they had to defend themselves there. They were getting hurt by the police officers in that corner.
So they just conveniently brought bear spray and was prepared to defend themselves. They just happened to have bear. I mean, do you normally carry bear spray on you?
90% of women carry freaking mace. They carry mace in their purses, right?
I mean, I've seen some chicks. In fact,
there were no guns. There was no tasers.
Wait a minute. This is what mace looks like. You're looking at it. They had a big ass canister of bear spray.
It's not that
You're
big.
telling me women carry that around?
If you could spray it with one hand, it's not that huge, buddy.
So, but you are suggesting that most women tend to carry bear spray on them.
Not bear spray. They carry a form of bear spray, which is mace, which is what's it called? Pepper spray. It's all the same ingredients. You wanna blind the person temporarily so that you can escape a bear, escape any danger. So, anyways. Let's forget about that situation. Let me go back to what you were saying, where there was only EPs. There wasn't only EPs, And as far as the peacefulness was, there was lots of peace at the beginning, and they let
I don't get how you're suggesting that they want to take the life of the vice president. I don't get where that's peaceful.
Listen, they were not going to take his life.
How do you know? How do you know?
Number one, where was the guns? Where was the knives?
That did not answer the question. These guys have a gallows and they're talking about taking the life of the.
It's a protest. When people are not happy with Biden, don't they have him and they burn him on a stick? I mean, come on. Same thing. They had Trump on gallows all through his presidency. Everybody, all the people which are pro women's abortion rights. Those people that are extreme. All the extremists do that. I mean, on both sides, not only one side.
Let me get it clear. I just want to make sure I'm understanding you clearly. So showing up to a location where the vice president is actually present with a gallows and yelling out you want to take his life, completely covered by the First Amendment.
They're not threatening him. They're not threatening him directly. He has his Secret Service protection.
That's not answering the question. That's not answering the question.
They know that.
So once again, to get clarity, showing up with a gallows and suggesting you want to take the life of the vice president.
It's a protest. Of course, it's a protest. But
so it's covered not by. So you're saying that
is not threatened directly. I mean, it's impossible. How many times did you see puppets of Trump and people were stomping on it in public? That's the same thing. It's just protest. That's all it is.
Okay. Last but not least, I do got to move it on before I let you go. Ashley Babbitt, was that a justifiable shooting?
Absolutely not. Did you see the video?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, the guy stuck his hand through the window and shot her. He didn't even know
I
who he
didn't
was
see
shooting.
that.
And she was, yes, it was a security guard that shot. From inside the door, shot straight at her, and she was unarmed. 100%. The video
Okay.
is there. The proof is there. There's evidence 100% that you cannot question that. He stuck his hand. You see his hand with the gun. He's just shooting blindly.
So let me ask you this: was Ashley Babbitt attempting to climb through the window, or did he
It
stick
doesn't
a
matter.
gun through the window?
Is she armed? Does she have a weapon on
That
her?
ain't was she trying to climb through the window though?
No, there was like 10 people there. She wasn't alone.
That ain't what I'm asking you. Was she trying to climb through the window?
No, but she was already inside the Capitol. It was the door that
That
would
ain't what.
bring.
There is a smashed window in front of her, a hole in the window that's been smashed.
And
Was
what's the
she
big
trying
deal?
to climb
What?
through that?
And the guy felt threatened by a woman half his
You
size.
Peter, you can easily say yes or no. Was she, if she wasn't, just say no. Was she trying to climb through the hole?
They were all trying to climb through, all of
Peter,
them.
we're talking about Ashley Babbitt, the woman who
Okay,
lost
big
her life,
deal.
not other
It does
people.
not justify her getting shot. It does
I
not,
get
100%.
that. I get your opinion is not justified, but I'm trying to find out, was she trying to climb through the window?
Sure, she was.
Okay, so what do you think she was attempting to do when she got through the
And
window?
there was
If
already
she
people
didn't
inside.
fire,
There was already people inside from
so
MAGA.
she was just trying
There's
to.
video
So
of them walking, and they're getting guided by the police of the Capitol. There's
okay.
video. You can see it. It's all there, free for you to see on YouTube. It's not doctored. It's real time filmed. Nothing. Like,
So what do you think she was attempting to do at that point when she
it
climbed through the
doesn't,
window?
listen, even if she's trying to get in, it was not justified to shoot point blank a woman that doesn't even have a
So what should
weapon
he
on
have
her.
done? What
Nothing.
should he have done?
What do you mean? He can go to another part of the Capitol and call for reinforcement. That's it. Because
So
Pelosi, you know that she held back the police,
hang
right?
on, wait, Peter, wait a minute. I'm willing to let you talk, but you're deflecting all over. We're on
It's
Pelosi now.
not
We're talking
deflection.
about Ashley Babbitt. We're talking about Ashley Babbitt. If
Yes.
Ashley Babbitt had have done, let's say the security guard or I'm under the impression he's a law enforcement officer, but you're calling him a security guard.
No, he
But
was
let's
security
say,
guard.
okay, whatever you want to call him.
He was wearing
Let's
a
say
suit. He wasn't wearing police uniform. He was wearing a suit.
meaning what?
He's a security, like one of the ushers of the Capitol. That's what he was. He wasn't a policeman.
Okay, let's say he did what you said, where she's climbing through the window. He doesn't fire a shot. You're
No,
basically telling him to stand down and retreat. Is that what I'm hearing?
retreat because he was by himself. Why not retreat? Wouldn't you, if you're in, let's say you're in the front line and you see 10 tanks coming at you and you're by yourself, you're not going to retreat? Of course you are. That's the rule of what's it called? Of how do you call engagement?
Of a coward. It sounds like the rule of a coward to me.
No,
What?
it's not.
Okay.
One guy his responsibility is not by himself to defend a crowd of people.
Last question. What does the phrase stand your ground mean to you?
Stand your ground.
Yeah, what does that mean to you?
Stand your ground is don't move.
That's it. It just means stand there and don't move.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to that phrase to you. It just means stand
your
there.
ground, meaning protect your perimeter.
Okay. Now, as a law enforcement officer, do you think that him firing upon Ashley Babbitt was a case of him standing his ground?
Oh, but listen, but he shot irresponsibly. He shot her and killed her.
Okay.
He could have shot her in the arm, in the leg. No, he shot the woman straight in the chest.
Shoot her in the arm or leg. You sound like a liberal. Do you lean left?
Oh no, I don't lean anything. I'm just being listen. I'm being open-minded to both sides. Okay, all right. Seriously, and listen. One last thing before I let you go.
Real quick. I got to move it on.
One last thing. Listen.
Sure.
The term insurrection is being abused because what happened January 6th wasn't an insurrection. It was a riot. That's all it was. It wasn't insurrection. Because I'll tell you why. There's a reason. Because the meaning of insurrection is to try to overthrow an established government. January 6th, Donald Trump was still president of the United States. His government was still in power. And Biden was only inaugurated 14 days later. True or no? Fact or no?
I gotta move it on. I can't. We've had the debate. I just want to get your last part
in this situation.
Okay. All right. Hey, you're welcome back anytime. We may not agree, but understand you can always come back.
But why
okay. My last guest to say, listen, folks, what do I say on every broadcast? I don't block, ban, or censor anyone. Me and the last guest had a good sparring match. He clearly disagrees with me, and the feeling is mutual, but I enjoy talking to him. Looking in the comments, everybody's saying get him off. By the way, I don't believe in removing guests simply because they're saying something that may be controversial, unpopular, or in some cases even untrue. Folks believe what my guests tend to say. You're not going to change hearts and minds by silencing people. That's why we don't do it here. Understand that. Looking in the comments, and folks saying when he is lying. And and let me make something else clear. I think it's kind of funny, and I will go back to the box, but you notice my first two callers got banned, and that last caller was allowed to speak in its entirety. So that shows you where the banning was coming from, right? My first two callers get kicked off, and they let my last guy speak in his entirety. So understand that certainly had my first two callers getting banned had nothing to do with TikTok. That is somebody out there playing the role of a agitator, troll, whatever you want to call it. Because the last guest survived and they didn't. Let me go back into the comment section. He has been on everybody's live today, Mr. Canada. I don't know what you mean by that. If the others wanted to get through the window, they wouldn't have stopped after the bad shoot. Arian Christian. What one hell of a name, okay? But I totally disagree with you, Arian Christian, in regards to suggesting that if the others wanted to get through the window, they wouldn't have stopped after the bad shoot. You believe that Ashley Babbitt was a bad shoot, and if the folks really wanted to get through the window, they would have continued on. The hell you would. You see this guy, okay, he only has a limited amount of rounds in his defensive tool, but he's clearly used one, and one of you have dropped. You could overrun the guy by all going in at the same time, but some of you are going to get hit. You're not going to run into some shit like that. What do you mean they could have? First of all, you got to come through a hole. So it's not like you're charging the guy down a wide open hallway. You got to climb through a hole, making it pretty easy for him to pop off the first whatever number of rounds in his firearm. No, you're not going to just run up on that shit. I got to disagree with you on that. We'll go to the box. Appreciate you folks holding on. Tap the screen. Get your boy up to 20,000 likes, 800 plus of you in here. What do I say all the time? You can be anywhere you want to be on social media. It's always a pleasure having you here. Enjoy civilized dialogue, both sides of the aisle, without any worry of the host, at least, blocking, banning, or censoring you. You are in the right place. Follow the program. Doesn't cost you a damn thing. Helps out the algorithm. Brings in more MAGA. The program always will remain MAGA friendly. Andy, good. The program. What was MAGA attempting to accomplish on January 6th? What say you, Andy?
Exactly what Steve Bannon said he was going to do before the election. Steve Bannon said on tape that before the election ever happened, if Trump started to lose, that he was going to come out and say it was stolen. And then the night before January 6th, Steve Bannon on his podcast said we're going to have a 1776 moment. And then there's the fake electorates, which is a whole separate scheme. So you can't say it wasn't an insurrection when the man had a 3-pronged plan to take over the government and tried to use the military. That's what one of the indictments is. So they can say whatever they want to, but Trump was planning to be a dictator. And Roger Stone, in his little video clip, said after 2020 there won't be any more elections. And the guy says, when do we get to start pew-pewing the Democrats? And he said, right after the election, you can start hunting them.
So you're essentially suggesting that Trump himself led the insurrection.
Well, Trump is the messenger. I'm pretty sure he's not that smart to put all that together. I'm pretty sure that's a Roger Stone, Steve Bannon, Michael Flynn special. But
if you believe that Stone and Flynn and Steve Bannon were so do you believe Trump had any knowledge that it was taking
yeah,
place?
I do. But I think they were all up in his ear telling him, oh, you can do this, you can do this. And you know how Trump is. So he goes, okay, I can do this. And then, to make matters worse, they keep talking about Nancy Pelosi. Trump sat himself in that White House and watched it go down for 3 hours. His daughter said in her testimony that they said that when they found out Pence wasn't going to do it, Trump texted them and said that, and she equated it as throwing gasoline on a fire.
So let me ask you this, because this is coming off of YouTube, but 76 Red Pills, love the name, said they have already redistricted, I suppose, saying that the fix is in. He's suggesting that the election is already being set up to be stolen, quote unquote, again. How do you respond
What
to
he's
folks?
talking about with the redistricting is where they gerrymandered us all before the last election so the Republicans can steal it. They're just putting it back the way it was. So if he wants it in there so they can steal it again, I'm sure. But the Supreme Court said no, it was unconstitutional. So
Yeah,
I hate
I
that.
mean, we know the courts have certainly ruled against Trump and the Trump administration, but folks like John Anderson, Trump won. We all know it by now. If
His
60
daughter
plus
doesn't
courts,
think so. Bill Barr doesn't think so. The people that investigated it didn't think so. Mitch McConnell said it wasn't so. Lindsey Graham said it wasn't so. I mean, they might not want to
so
bump up
what?
against Trump, but
Basically,
Liz
now
Cheney put
you're
her whole
totally correct.
career on the line to tell
Yeah,
the truth.
you're totally correct in pointing out those folks who do not believe Trump won. But why do MAGA overwhelmingly
Because they
believe
believe
Trump won the
everything
election?
Trump says, and it doesn't matter what he says. And I know the election rally was crap because my representative, Mo Brooks, stood his butt up there and told them all kind of stuff. And you know why Mo's not listed? Because Trump was endorsing him. Trump didn't like his numbers in Alabama. So he pulled his endorsement. So Mo Brooks' spiteful self went down to the January 6th hearing and handed them the pardon list.
So at the end of the day, I want to ask
And
you
you
this. We had
wait,
a call.
and how do you want a pardon? What do you get a pardon for? Only one thing: if you committed a crime.
Yeah. Well, what if you committed a crime? What if you didn't commit a crime, but you were convicted, wrongfully convicted anyway?
Well, I watched that Ashley Babbitt live to an Oath Keepers helmet on YouTube, and I could hear what they were saying, and they weren't there for anything other than what they were there for. And they were mad at the ones that were just like goofing around and taking pictures because they were part of the ones that were running the stack operations up the side of the building.
So
They're the ones that told everybody to sharpen the flagpoles.
Hang on a second. Hold on. So what you're saying is that some Trump supporters who, in your opinion, were performing an insurrection were mad at other Trump supporters who were just there acting like tourists because they weren't participating?
Yeah, the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys actually thought they were going to have some backup. And instead, they got the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys were there. The Oath Keepers especially were there for Roger Stone. They take orders directly from him. And they, these people said, yeah, we're ready. They trained for 3 months. They got a Lego of the Capitol building that was exact and put it together, and they found it in a church where they'd been plotting. The day before, they got video where nobody was supposed to be in the Capitol of one of the senators letting one of them in, the Republican senators, and giving them a tour. And it's also one of the guys that got arrested on January the 6th.
But you started out by saying it's an insurrection. So how do you respond to folks who say it couldn't have been an insurrection because there was no weapons there?
I say that the guy that got arrested from Alabama had a trunk full of cocktails, and they were the kind you throw.
Oh, but you're going to perform an
And the
insurrection with a
police
bunch of
reports,
Molotov cocktails?
if you listen to their police reports, they were talking about guys in the trees with weapons,
Yeah, they were.
assault ones. So
So,
they can say what they want. That's not the truth.
what about the claim of taking the VP life? Do you think that that was just something they were saying,
Uh,
protected by the First Amendment?
there were gallows on the lawn, and when Trump found out, he called. No, whoa, what was it? This which one of them called him? And said the Speaker of the House called him and said, "Hey, this is getting real," and he said,
Right.
"Well, I guess some people care more than others."
Mm.
And they had to force Trump to go down there and make a speech.
Yeah. So, but you have folks that counter you, like for instance in the comments, Skylar is saying January 6th is a complete setup. Where are they getting this from?
Well, if they're that weak-minded that they'll follow one person or two people to go commit insurrection against the United States government, I don't know what to tell them. You couldn't
Well,
convince me to do that, not ever.
you make a good point because folks are blaming Ray Epps and things like that for inciting this. And I do have to ask that question, how could you be so easily influenced to do something so serious? If you are a law abiding citizen, some guy you've
I
never
come from a
met.
military family. We don't do that.
Yeah, fair enough. So at the end of the day, 22 years for the leader of the Proud Boys, 18 for the leader of the Oath Keepers. You think that was overdoing it, or you think those are legitimate football numbers that they've
What did
been
we
given?
used to do to traitors to the United States? I think they got out late.
Damn. Okay. All right,
And I think
Andy.
we should pull Michael Flynn back in and court-martial him while we're at it. But I bet you money Roger Stone's walking around with a pardon in his pocket.
Yeah.
That man has been
Well,
trying to overthrow the government since Nixon. Think about it.
well, it wasn't quite met with success. Last question I
And
want to
wait,
ask
he
you
was
though.
even involved when Reagan went to Iran and made that deal to mess up Carter. So Roger Stone is evil. They call him the father of dirty politics for a reason.
Fair enough. All right, Andy, I got to move it on. I do appreciate you coming on. It's always a pleasure speaking with you. You know what we got to do. Come on back in here.
I gotta go, but hey, I made it all the way through without getting bumped. Bye.
Fair enough. All right, looking in the comments. Lord have mercy. January 6th was like a horror movie. Insurrection and televised. Patrick says on YouTube, yikes. There was a run through of what not to do in the next one, and it's coming. That's scary. John Anderson, YouTube says that what happened on January 6th was literally an example. He referred to it as a run through of what not to do at the next protest, love fest, gathering, insurrection. And he ended the statement by saying, and it is coming. So you saw on video an example of what not to do at the next gathering, and he anticipates it is coming. So that's what I want to make that clear to you. And he's not the only one that's said things like that. Going back to the box, and when all the lawyers walked out, it's because he wanted to use the military. Wow. I'm hearing that it was not an insurrection. How many of you folks, by way of yes or no, I'm not going to quite go into the polls, but by way of yes or no, just want to get your humble opinion. 800 plus of you in here. By the way, tap the screen. Get your boy up to 35,000 likes. I appreciate you being here. By way of yes or no, was January 6th, in your opinion, an attempt to overthrow the government? Was it an insurrection? Yes or no? Now, obviously, we know President Trump has not been charged with such a crime. We know that the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys, apparently, at least the leadership, looks like they have been charged with sedition rather. So, but I want to see what you folks say in the comments before we go to the box. Wow, a lot of you. Wow, it's an incredible amount of you responded. I should have did a poll. There's a lot of both. I'm going to just simply scrolling through. There looks like there may be more yeses than nos, but it looks like there's a hell of a lot of you that are indeed saying no. So I'm actually going to do the poll because I really want to see. So give me a second and we'll go back to the box. I won't keep you guys waiting much longer, but I am really curious if I can even get this shit to work because I really want to find out. So we'll just put in yes. Something, I'm so ignorant on this that I can't type it out, and I hate doing this because it's dead air in the program. So I'm just going to type in insurrection, yes or no, and when you see it, I would appreciate if you would respond. Yeah, something is okay. There we go. All right, real quick. Yes and no. All right, there we go. 5-minute poll. All right, going back to, and I see a lot of yeses and I see a lot of no's, so it went crazy there. Sorry about the delay. I see a lot of Trump 2024, so there is a lot of love for Trump. In fact, I could almost ask an additional poll, which is, even if Trump is charged and convicted of an insurrection, would you still support him? I know there's a hell of a lot of yeses to that, too, as well. Keeping the program moving, we will go